Hello. How's everybody doing today? I'm just gonna do a song here, and then at 7 we'll get started. Hopefully, play the song. I'm trading my sorrows. Well, I think it's called "Trading My Sorrows." To me, this is a song about choosing something different than sorrow. And laying them down, laying your sorrows down, your shame, your pain, and trading it instead for joy. And also about the joy that the Lord gives us when we choose Him. I'm trading my sorrows. I'm trading my shame. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Say yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Amen. I'm trading my soul. I'm trading my shame. I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. I'm pressed but not crushed, persecuted, not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. I'm blessed beyond the curse, for His joy comes in the morning. I'm trading my sorrows. I'm trading my pain. I forgot the chords. I'm trading them. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain. I'm laying them down for the joy of. Welcome to COVID 1900, live from Shangri-La. My camper, Shangri-La, COVID 1900 is a live interactive devotional time and prayer time that you can be part of, that you can interact with. And so I hope you'll do that. You can comment at any time about anything in the live chat. If you do it in the live chat, that's the easiest for me. I can see it. I can see it pretty much right away. If you comment, you can also comment by email if you don't know how to do the live chat stuff and whatever else. Hey, Sarah's saying hello to all of WFC. You can also comment to the my email address, trevor.berg@wefc.net. It's trevor.berg@wefc.net. And in the house today, managing the tech, is Owen Berg. Whoop, whoop. Come on, Owen, give us a little woot woot. He's shy. Owen's a little shy. So welcome here. Feel free to comment. Like I said, the question of the day that you can put in the chat. And Andrea is saying wootin' wootin', Owen. So the question of the day is, who is someone you admire for their commitment? So it's a bit of a deep question. Someone that you admire for their commitment. And Jeff said, that's my wife, but I'm not sure if he's talking about the woman making the comment or that he admires her for her commitment. I admire her for her commitment because she's stayed married to Jeff this long. That's a joke, maybe, sort of. I need the laugh track. Come on, Owen. Whenever I press the button, Ben would laugh, but you're not going to do it for me, hey? Okay, today we're going to talk a little bit more about Job, and we're going to enjoy the interaction that's going on between Jeff and his wife on the YouTube comments. Glad that you're here. His wife's name is Andrea. So if we remember, if you were here the last while, Job has had a really crazy, difficult time. And he's had his children killed in a tornado. And basically everything he owns has been stolen. And he didn't have any insurance. That's sort of a joke. There was no insurance back then. So Job was in a very bad place. In chapter 2, it starts off with a almost word for word a description of an encounter between God and Satan. It's also found in chapter 1. Satan interrupts God's meeting with his angels. God takes the opportunity to brag on Job a little bit, and Satan challenges God again. And in verse 4 of chapter 2, it says, "And Satan answered the Lord and said," oh yeah, because Job had proven himself to be faithful. And so here we are, and Satan is kind of like, not good enough. Satan answered the Lord and said, "Skin for skin, all that a man has, he will give for his life. But stretch out your hand and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse you to your face." And Satan is kind of saying, all we did was take away his stuff. I mean, if anybody threatens your life and says your life or your house, you would probably give up your house, right? And so Satan's kind of saying, he didn't really prove much. And then he's saying, if you make him sick, if you touch his bone and his flesh, he will curse you. And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, he is in your hand. Only spare his life." What a crazy thought that God is saying this thing to Satan. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord, which to scrape himself while he sat in the ashes. Then his wife said, we'll stop there. So Satan went out. He hurt a normal sores, normal pain, because Job sat with a piece of broken pottery so that he could scrape himself while he sat in the ashes. I don't know if you've ever been in that kind of pain, but I know that some people right now are struggling. Maybe it's not the same kind of pain, but people are struggling right now with the struggles with COVID-19 and all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure sort of feeling the same way as Job, sort of sitting in their ashes, scraping themselves with broken pottery, that sort of image. And then his wife said to him, "Do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die." So here's Job's wife is basically being a bad influence. She is saying to him, "This is not good. This isn't what you want, and I don't think God is real. You should just curse him and die." But he said to her, "You speak as one of the foolish women would speak? Shall we receive good from God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. Now, Job isn't calling his wife foolish, but he is saying, you're sounding like a foolish person. And I guess the biggest thing is this last part, and this is where we'll spend a little bit of time here. And I think this is why I asked the question earlier, who is someone you admire for their commitment? And you can respond with anything like that. Who is someone you admire for their commitment? You can mention their name or describe their commitment in the comments or in curse God and die. But he said to her, you speak as one of the foolish women would speak. Shall we receive good from God, and shall we not receive evil? Wow. See, Job is faithful and committed. He's not committed just to good results. Sarah says, maybe this reminds her of her Opa. Maybe you can explain a little bit more about that, Sarah. Obviously, her Opa has shown some commitment. And Jeff says, all fun aside, I actually was thinking this afternoon when I first saw the question about commitment. The first and strongest thought was my wife. She's shown me grace and forgiveness nonstop. Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's not a joke. Not a joke at all. The thing is, in general, we tend to be results-oriented people. We'll do something if we get a result. If the results aren't there, then we'll stop doing it. And a lot of the time that actually makes sense, right? But when it comes to serving God, we have to put aside results sometimes. And I can think of a story of someone who told me once he came to the church, and he wasn't a Christian or anything, but he was sort of curious about it. But then he said to me, I tried being a Christian once, but it didn't work. And I thought, oh man, what does it mean that it didn't work, that being a Christian didn't work? And what he meant was he was looking for results. He became a Christian so that he wouldn't be poor anymore, so that he would be able to have make better choices in his life. And serve God isn't to say, oh, if I serve God, my life will get better. We serve God because of who God is. And that is likely more a more dignified way of looking at commitment. See, Job understands who God is, and it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. It doesn't change. God is still God, no matter what happens. So whether it's good, whether it's bad, God is still God. And that's how strongly he believes in God. It sort of reminds me, I was at a funeral a few years ago, and this is sort of a hard story in a way, but it was, for me, it was very inspiring. There was a woman who had been sick for a long time. No, it's maybe not quite that long, but anyways, she was sick for a long time, and her husband was very, very committed to her. And I remember her daughter got up in the funeral, and these are the words that I remember. Her daughter said about her dad, who was still alive and had walked with her mom all the way through this very difficult illness. My dad, it was like my dad said, I said in sickness and in health when we got married, and I meant it. And it was a very beautiful moment for me to imagine, spending life together. And after a long time of not really being able to get back from someone who's sick in the same way that you imagined when you married them, but yet you remained committed, not because you're getting results or you're getting something out of that person, but because of who that person is. And I think that's the way Job looks at God. He says, God is God no matter what happens. It doesn't change. And Sarah says she saw amazing love and commitment from my Opa toward my Oma, especially the last few years of their life, despite how much their circumstances changed and her mind changed. That'd be pretty tough. Seeing someone's mind change. And for those of you who don't know the terms Opa and Oma, that would be like grandma and grandpa. Sometimes circumstances change and people change, and yet we can remain committed and we can show commitment, just like Sarah's Opa. Wes Schellenberg says, some of my heroes are missionaries who faithfully served in difficult situations with very little evident fruit for their work. They were obedient over the long haul. Yeah, that's an amazing thing to see, that people would give that much time. Sometimes I've heard stories of missionaries who be doing missions work for 20 years without ever seeing anything happen in terms of results. And that is commitment. That's commitment to a calling and to a God who doesn't change, even though circumstances change. And so I guess I would encourage you that God is here. God is with us. God is still God, even in the midst of difficult and trying times. God is still here. Andrea is mentioning Charlene Krause for her unwavering commitment. Charlene was a youth leader when I was youth pastor, had a long struggle with cancer, and she was very committed to God. And then Andrea also says my mom for her faithfulness to God in the last couple of years, and she's had struggles with her health as well. It's amazing, and those are the people that we sort of recognize as faithful, are those who struggle through life and yet remain faithful and committed. Well, I really appreciate you spending time with me here this evening, and I'll be here again tomorrow at 1900 hours, and we'll do another COVID 1900 at that time. Please feel free to continue commenting, and if you have anything that I can pray for, you can let me know. I'm going to pray for a few of these people who have been mentioned here. Lord, I just thank you for Andrea. I thank you for her commitment and her forgiveness, and how Jeff has appreciated that and seen that. I thank you for Sarah's Opa and the way that he remained faithful and committed to his wife period of time, and are just faithful to you. And I thank you for Charlene. And I pray that you would be with her family, who now is living without a mom and a wife. And Lord, I just thank you. Oh, and I also want to mention Helen Blatz, who's Andrea's mom. And I thank you for her commitment to you and her love for you in spite of her struggles. And I pray that you would give her strength in the middle of them. So, Lord, would you be with us in the middle of this crazy time? We know that you are still God, and we worship you no matter what. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. If you want to receive emails and notifications about this, you can subscribe to this, and it will notify you. Take care, friends. We'll see you tomorrow.